Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a different kind of video. This time around, I'm going to be talking about Duolingo and my 600 plus days experience with it. Now, I know for some of you that follow me, this is going to seem like it's kind of out of nowhere, but yeah, I've been doing Duolingo for over 600 days now. Now, I know some of you are going to immediately say, by the way, I'm learning Japanese. Some of you are going to immediately say like, oh, you must be fluent in Japanese now. You know everything. To which I say, no, I am not fluent. And some people are going to be like, oh, well, you say something in Japanese. I want to hear it. And like, I would say konnichiwa, but people are like, oh, that doesn't count. That's not, everybody knows that, which sure. After 600 plus days of letting a bird app bully me into earning gems, I started to wonder, have I actually accomplished anything? And I feel like the best way to quantify that is by actually taking a Japanese proficiency test. But before we get to the results of that, I did want to talk about my experience with Duolingo and what other people have thought about Duolingo in case you want to start your own language learning journey. So in my experience, Duolingo has been pretty good for learning different kind of sentence structures and vocabulary, of course. But when it comes to grammar, I feel like your guess is almost just as good as mine when it comes to Japanese. And it sucks because Japanese is a particularly difficult language to learn for English speakers. But, I also feel like I've come as far as I have because I've learned Spanish over the course of like 3-4 years just from high school to college. So that definitely has given me an advantage as far as just being able to absorb more Japanese more quickly. So take that into consideration. But everybody's experience is different with language learning and especially with Duolingo. So I wanted to look at some of my YouTube peers and see what they have to say.
And doing it every day just gives you the best chance of forming a new habit. That is what the streak is about. It's actually not about making sure that your brain is exposed to some Spanish every day, although that does help. It's about saying, hey, Spanish learning is part of your life now. If you've repaired a streak and you're still counting yourself as being on a streak, you shouldn't be.
And be careful because Duolingo's streak system is a bear trap designed to suck you in and make you addicted to a less effective learning method. Don't be afraid to lose your streak.
I unfortunately did not write down who said what, so I had to do a lot of backtracking, but could not find the person who said this quote. So if anybody knows, let me know in the comments down below. But somebody on YouTube also said that Duolingo is kind of like a social media app, which is not necessarily wrong. It's kind of like the freaking, all those quiz apps and the trend that happened like, feels like 10 years ago, but with learning a language competitively. But out of all of these comments, I felt like only one person gave me a lot of value when it came to learning about Duolingo and just the user experience and the different updates that Duolingo has had. And that person is Evan Endinger. If you're looking for the Duolingo guru on YouTube, it is definitely Evan Endinger. He's been using Duolingo for 7 years now, and he is also a beta tester for new features in the app, although he does say in a video, which I'll have subtitled somewhere on the screen here, that he doesn't always get the new features, and sometimes just random users will get the features, so that's an odd beta system in my opinion, but all right. But in his I did Duolingo for 2,000 days in a row video, he talks about his takeaways from Duolingo's structure. According to Evan, Duo does a great job at giving people visual indicators of encouragement, which I do agree with. And if you go back to practice a lesson enough time, you can get a purple trophy instead of a gold one to flex your mastery and or determination with brute force. But this also means that when they change the UI in a recent update, some of these trophies, crowns, whatever it is now, get reverted back to gold and you have to remaster this skill, which can be discouraging for some people. But the good part about the update, as Evan points out, is that the new structure doesn't force you to go back to old lessons all the time, and it actually incorporates it in the current lesson path that you're taking, which is really good. And, at the end of the day, Duolingo is not about getting crowns. It's about learning the language. So there's that. Now, I know you all are wondering, okay, you've talked a lot about Duolingo, blah, blah, blah. Does it actually work? Well, I am going to take 3 tests, none of which are the actual Japanese fluency tests, but they're all kind of practice tests, I guess, or something to get you ready. So it's practically the best way for free to tell if I've actually learned any Japanese. Now, if you're wondering what the Japanese fluency test is, well, I will explain it to you. The Japanese language proficiency test measures the level of understanding of basic Japanese mainly learned in class. The test ranges from N5 being the least difficult and N1 being the most difficult. The test expresses linguistic competence through reading and learning comprehension. Today I'm going to take the N5 test after accidentally selecting the N1 test, which determines your understanding of some basic Japanese. So we're going to start with the JLPT website, which is the Japanese language proficiency test website. And we're just going to take the N1, which is the lowest level, like elementary level Japanese, and see if I pass the test, or at least these sample questions. 彼は今日 So he's now... Is that new? Something? What? Well, okay, so I just realized I should have started with N5. N5 is the lowest, hence it being at the bottom of the list. It looks like I'm failing at English as well. Alright.
2、アメリカです。3、部屋です。
And then the third one is just room. I'm going with the first one. It was... What? Wait, what? Okay, I don't know what she was asking then. Dochira? Is that? Like sushi? I don't know. Hey, you know what? I didn't miss that many. Can I translate? Can I translate to see what this is saying? It says, I want to solve more example problems, try another level, regular table. First one. Does this mean I passed? It doesn't say anything about score on this. So I have to score 44% to pass. That seems kind of low. Well, I definitely passed if that was the case. This is definitely more than 44. So, you know, that's a good start. That's a good start. Alright, so this next one is from Nihongo Master. It's a practice N5 test. There is English on the site, so I'm already feeling more hopeful that I will at least get a score by the end of this. But yeah, let's continue. Jipun. I don't get tired. Answered all the questions. Now you see how you did. I felt confident in the beginning, but not so much now. 73%! Did you know less than half of people pass the JLPT N5 exam? Okay. You know, I feel like I'm doing alright. I feel like I only got 4 wrong. I think the last one I only had 4 wrong as well. Maybe it was 5. Something around there. For the most part, though, I'm getting it. This was a lot easier, though, because it had, like, what they wanted in English, and then I just read the Japanese. In the listening section, there was only 1 listening question that wasn't that bad. We're just gonna skip this and say I averaged about 80% on the test, but, you know, I only answered, like, 30-ish questions, so there's potential that... on a good day, I could pass the exam, but honestly, I don't really know any kanji. The test that had kanji on it, I was kind of flailing about trying to find context clues when it didn't have the hiragana or katakana above it. And so I'm kind of surprised with myself. I did better than I thought I did, but as y'all can see, definitely not fluent in Japanese. I know some of you out there are probably surprised that I couldn't at least read all the questions from the different tests that I took, but Language learning is not easy. Learning Japanese is definitely not easy as an English learning speaker. You know, Japanese people do not use Romanji, which is just Roman letters, to translated Japanese text. They don't use that on a day-to-day basis. So having to learn hiragana, katakana, and kanji is hard. It's hard. Basically, what I'm trying to say with this is if you think language learning is easy, you are playing yourself. But don't get me wrong, dedicating time to Duolingo has definitely helped me learn a lot, and I wouldn't have got as far as I have if I hadn't been using Duolingo. But memorizing a few words to get on a leaderboard is not going to make you fluent. And as Evan will describe on his channel, and in my personal experience, you know, I grinded for the Diamond League, which is basically, that's where all the high scores of the week go for Duolingo. And I got #1. And what was the reward for that? Maybe a couple hundred gems, which you use to buy. I don't even think you can buy costumes anymore. What do you use the gems for? But yeah, you don't get a lot for that. And that just goes to show that the real reward is learning a new language in Duolingo. I think that Duolingo has been a great place for me to start my language learning journey, but I definitely feel the need to move on to actually picking up a Japanese textbook or a tutor or have some kind of teacher or something. And I definitely feel that you guys will feel the same way, probably sooner than 600 days. I definitely felt that sooner than 600 days. And part of it is also the fact that Duolingo's Eastern languages their programs are not as developed as the Western languages and the Romantic languages. So that's just adding to the level of difficulty as far as grammar is concerned, as far as the different tools that I can use to continue to practice. So yeah, it's feeling like it's time for me to move on, especially so that I can learn proper grammar and important everyday phrases. For example, I just learned how to say I'm hungry, and I'm over 600 days in. Now, don't ask me what it is because I don't remember right now, but I do remember that I learned the phrase. On top of the weird grammar, Duolingo also has weird and sometimes incorrect pronunciations. I actually learned this from Ash Shogo's channel. From his video, Is Duolingo Really a Good Way to Study Japanese? And he's a native Japanese speaker, so he knows what he's talking about. And I feel like the cherry on top of the cake is, like many other developers, whether it's games, apps, whatever you may have they are going to make missteps. And some of the missteps that Duolingo has made has been, I won't say detrimental, but it's hurt the learning experience in a few different ways. One of the mistakes that Evan pointed out in one of his previous videos is the fact that they took away the storybook system, which is basically reading a classic tale, like, you know, Jack and Jill went up the hill. Like, we know it in English, but it will tell it to you in your chosen language. So for me, it would have been Japanese. And that would have been great because it's like, oh, you know, like, this is familiar to me. Like, I can figure this out. And of course, they're like, oh, cool, you like that feature? Well, it's out of here. And we have not seen it since. I hope that it will someday make a comeback because a lot of the people in the community really liked it. But that's just one example of a feature that was implemented and then taken away. And unfortunately, people really like that feature. Now, don't think this is me saying don't use Duolingo at all or it's not even worth your time. I definitely think it is, as far as just getting in the habit of learning a new language. And getting that vocabulary in. And I think you can use Duolingo like until the end of time. Even if you no longer take lessons and you're completely fluent, you can continue to take it or learn Duolingo and probably get something out of it. But if you're serious about fluency and you're starting from the beginning, you definitely need to look into like a textbook or a teacher or a tutor once you get those basics down, because Duolingo struggles to get you to that intermediate level. So I hope nobody takes these criticisms as me saying that I don't like Duolingo or that it's a waste of time. I said quite the opposite throughout the whole video. And it's a free app that you can pay for. And I will admit, you know, I have a family plan with my family. I convinced them to get on Duolingo, so we all got the family plan. And it's a lot better with the paid features that you get, especially removing the ads and being able to try lessons multiple times. But it is not necessary for you to like learn anything from Duolingo. Like, I used Duolingo almost 100 days, probably I think more than 100 days using the free version, and I learned quite a bit in those 100 days. Just to kind of cap off all my thoughts on language learning, I actually found a few tips online for those who are looking for some concrete things to hold on to as they start their journey. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Give up on fluency at the start. This one is very, very important because language learning is like solving a puzzle. You know, sometimes you're going to fail before you understand the solution. Set attainable goals, something realistic, like learning maybe 5-10 words a day, something like that. And then just repeating those things. Study consistently. That has been the biggest thing for me, as my 600 whatever days has not been straight. I have definitely used streak freezes and things like that, but I make sure that I come back the next day and I continue learning, continue practicing, whatever, and just keep using this muscle. And it's gotten better. It's definitely gotten better. Learn useful words and phrases, which Duolingo does a job at doing that, at least for Japanese, and use the language whenever you can. Now, for me, I'm going to sound like a weeb, and I'm not going to find very many people to speak Japanese with. But in those opportunities that I do get, I do find myself remembering things a little bit better. And especially when I took Spanish and had to embarrass myself in front of the whole class. Like, I remember that. The emotional trauma is dug deep. And the last tip is to use online platforms to practice with people. And Duolingo actually has a desktop app, which I didn't know about until like probably 200 days ago or so, where you can actually talk with people online through different like groups and actually get that speaking practice in. This is something that I haven't personally done myself, but something I definitely should do and something I will probably look into in the near future. So to close out this video, I just wanted to say that Duolingo has been a good way for me to start doing the habits that I need to be successful in Japanese, and I am ready to take that next step. As Duo might say, I'm ready to spread my wings and leave the nest. But I'm definitely going to keep my streak alive though, because I'm a part of the Streak Society of nerds that talk with birds. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a little bit from this. I know this is very different from what I normally do, but I figured since I spend so much time doing this, I kind of just want to talk about it and see, like, if you're using Duolingo, tell me what languages you are learning down in the comments below. And, how has your language learning journey been? Have you only been using Duolingo, or have you started to substitute it for other things? I would love to know, especially if you're learning Japanese. I need some help. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments, and I will see you all in the next video. But until then, I hope you all have a nice evening or night. Whatever's enjoy it. I will see you next time. Peace.